A big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Morning everyone, fantastic to see you again. I am on the east coast of the UK. I've not been here for a long time, but I've been dying to come. And I've also got the brand new camera from Nikon, the Nikon Z6III. I'm gonna try this out and tell you what I think about it. So I'm here at Bamburgh Castle and I'm also gonna photograph puffins as well. But first of all, it's the evening. It'll be better tomorrow morning, but I'm gonna go and see what I can find. Oh, it's so beautiful being by the coast. So as you can see, we've not got a lot in the way of clouds at the moment, but I think we'll get a good sunset. It's really a sunrise location, this, because the rocks are over here at Bamburgh Castle, and we're going to come back in the morning, which is in about, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours time, and hopefully get something. It's all about just finding a composition, I think, and seeing what I can find. I'm really excited about this Z3. You know, it's a completely new camera than the Z2, and I think that it solves a lot of the frustrations with the Z2, and I think it's going to offer something really, really special. So yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on it and try it. Right, so this isn't the most amazing shot, but I thought I'd show you something just before I go a little bit further onto the rocks, because I found these sort of nice patterns in the sand here, and there's sort of a little bit of an S-curve. I don't want to go too low to get rid of that S-curve, as you can see there. But also the clouds were good as well. I took a photo handheld just before. I'll show you now because the clouds are a little bit better than they are now. But the thing is, on this Z6, let me show you, this Z6III, is it's got one of these, a flappy screen that goes down so I can shoot in this orientation and not have to crouch down like this and look like this. I can do it stood up like this, which is really good. And it also allows me to do selfie video, which is fantastic. Right, I'm going to go over there and see if I can find some really nice foreground for tomorrow. With the Z6III, it's got a whole new processing, which is the same as the Z8 apparently. And I got a Z8 and I love it because it's fast. It's got really fast read speeds, and the processor means you've got really good autofocus, which, let's be honest, the Z6 wasn't famous for. It was better, the Z6II was better than the Z6, but I still think it had lots of improvements. So if you're wildlife photography, that focus is the same as the Z8, which is just incredible. Okay, let me say something about this camera. So it's not just a incremental increase from the Z6II, it actually takes a lot of its DNA from the Z8. It's got the same processor as the Z8. The really important thing is that that offers you an increase in frame rate and autofocus. So autofocus in the Z6II was good, but it could always be a little bit better, I felt. And the Z8 is definitely better. Now, as a landscape photographer, I'm not that bothered about that really, but in low light it's important, and also I tend to do a little bit more wildlife, as I'm going to try later with puffins, and I think it's just great to have the tools all in one camera. We'll get onto the 24 megapixels because I'm going to do some prints. I'm going to take some shots from my Z8 and my Z6II and we can look at those prints together. But at the moment, I'm going to take this shot because the light's coming out. I'm going to try and get my shadow out of the way because it's not ideal here for sunset, and get this shot with this nice light on this rock. Ta-da! We have this really nice stream going through there. And there is actually some clouds that are coming over now. So I think there's a chance of getting a good shot. The problem is shadows. So I think what I'm going to have to do to get rid of my shadow in this when I'm standing behind it, and I may be able to get rid of the tripod shadow, is put it on a timer and move out of the way. I really like this. I think this is like really nice, especially the patterns there. I think a vertical shot's going to work quite nicely here as well. I mean, this is just, what can go wrong here? It just doesn't get better than this, does it? Oh. It's so nice to be back photographing out in places like this. I just love it so much. Right, I found a good composition. The problem is we have youths in the scene. There's many youths which we're going to have to spot out. But I really like this line that's going from here through the scene to the castle. We've got a little bit of cloud up here. And at the moment, the sun's a little bit subdued, which I think is really good because it's sort of hiding my shadow a little bit. So I really like this. I think it's a really nice scene. And I actually like the fact that the monitor goes out over to the side as well. I don't know why, can't explain why, but it's not, so the monitor you can't have, you can do like this and put it like that, or you can go like that. And I like both of these. Getting cold now, so I think the light's gone. There's a big cloud over there. The morning though, the sun's going to rise. I've just looked at photo pills and the sun's going to rise just about over there. So it's going to be really nice raking light over these rocks, and there's going to be no issue with any shadows, and we're going to have some nice side light on the castle. So if we get some clouds tomorrow morning, that'll be fantastic. So I'm going to head back now. I'll tell you more about some of the other features on the Z6 when I come back in the morning. And let's fingers crossed that we get some amazing light, because this is such an epic location. Right, back out. It's 3:40 a.m. and looks like we've got a reasonable sunrise actually. Just got to hope that there's a little bit of cloud comes a bit closer to the castle, because as you can see it's fairly clear over there at the moment. But yeah, we're just getting the light, which looks fantastic. Oh, it's nice to be out. There's another photographer here, which is not surprising, at Bamburgh Castle. Right, see what we can find. Go back to this composition, but the tide's fully in now. Believe it or not, it's summer, but it's only 4 degrees at the moment and there's wind, so it's freezing cold. We've got Bamburgh Castle here, and I found a little rock pool. I'll just show you the composition that I've got here. So basically, I've got this little bit of a little rock pool here, and then just nice lines leading to the castle. Really simple composition, can't go wrong. Right, I'm going to tell you, before we wait for the light now, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about the Nikon Z6III. So the Z6III is a body that's just a little bit bigger than the Z6II, and there's a lot of differences though, because it's got a lot of the same guts as a Z8. It's got the same engine as a Z8, and it's got a semi-stacked sensor, not a fully stacked sensor, but a semi-stacked sensor, which means it's going to have a better autofocus, and it's going to have a better, faster readout, which means that you can have better frames per second as well. It also massively helps the video, which I'll talk about later. But for this shot here, I'm going to try and get this really nice composition. We just need a few clouds to come in the sky, and that should be fantastic. But it feels really great in the hand, this. I'm so excited about this. Just this flippy screen transforms things. One of the things that's really spectacular about this is the viewfinder. I've loved that with my Z8. And this has got the brightest viewfinder of any camera in the world, and the most high resolution viewfinder as well. And it's also got the best colour gamut of any Z camera, which is just insane really. Honestly, when you look through it, it is so spectacular. It just looks so good. And I think that's really important, because when you're looking through your viewfinder, I spend a lot of time trying to find compositions through my viewfinder. You want to see you know, what's around you, and I think that's really great. So yeah, that's fantastic, right? We need to talk about the 24 megapixels, don't we? So I'm just going to grab this shot, and then we'll just have a quick chat about 24 megapixels and why I think it matters and I think it doesn't matter. I'll give the for and against. The fact that I can look at the screen to the right hand side on the Nikon camera is just amazing. The ZF had this, but you know, this is an all-encompassing camera. It's got everything that I think you need. But there's that 24 megapixels. Is 24 megapixels enough to photograph Bamburgh Castle, which I know I'm pointing at now because I can look at the screen? Well, it is and it isn't, I think. I think certainly for 99.5% of photographers, it's going to be totally fine, unless you're printing massive, or you're maybe a wildlife photographer that wants to get a little bit more reach, so you want to crop in a little bit. I can't think of any other scenarios really where you need any more megapixels. And if you think about it, the pixel density is less, so you would think that the low noise would be a little bit better on this. I don't know about that, I'd have to test, but obviously the pixel size is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to print some shots from my Z8 and my ZF back in the studio soon, and we'll see what they're like. Obviously you'll be able to see some different when you pixel peep in Lightroom, but the reality is printing at A2, you're just not going to see any difference. Right, the cloud's promising and then it disappears, so you never know, we might get something in a minute. So finally we've got a cloud that looks really good. So we've got this cloud up here, which just really nicely forming a nice sweeping bend. So I just need to quickly get this because I've been waiting for this for quite a while. Oh, this looks so good. So I'm shooting at f10, ISO 100, which is the base ISO on the Z6III, half a second. And we've got a little bit of colour still. The colour over there though, as typical in any sunrise, just looks so epic. But unfortunately that's not where we're shooting. I think we're going to get some good colour on these clouds in a minute, which is going to look really good. I'm going to shoot one in landscape and one in portrait. Just the landscape one just gets a little bit more over there, but this is getting good. So I'm just heading to a new spot on the beach here to try and get maybe just a bit of the seaweed and then some of the waves crashing. I'm not sure it's going to work, but we'll have a go, see what we can get. Rishi is here already. There he is. Look at that sun there. That looks fantastic. The light now over there. That light just looks so amazing over there now. Oh. But there's one cloud above the castle, which I think actually is quite nice. So it's just trying to find a really nice, simple foreground. I think I'm going to keep coming back to the bit that I had over there because it looks so good. But, oh, cloud over there just looks spectacular. I might just have to try and find a composition just out to sea, I think. So, the video specs of this camera are amazing. They're not quite as good as the Z8 though. And when I say not quite as good, all I mean is you can't take 8K on here, you can only take 6K, but you can do 6K at 60 frames per second. You can also shoot in RAW recording at 12 bits, and you can do D-Log as well as 10-bit recording in camera as well, which is fantastic. 10-bit recording basically means you've got a lot more colour information when you're recording things, and it's great for doing things like this, the sunset. You can just pull more information out of it, you can get more information out of the highlights, and it also does something that no other Nikon camera has done before, which is 1080p at 240 frames per second, which will be pretty good for the puffins, I think. Sometimes you just have to move away from the obvious, which is the castle, and just point to nothing, which is in that direction. And I say nothing, but it's the most amazing glow, such a diffuse sort of marine layer over there. It just looks, I say marine layer, it's not really a marine layer, but it's just a little bit of atmosphere just makes all the difference. So I've just got the light off the rocks here. It's a really simple shot, nothing too special, but the light makes it, and it's wonderful to be out. Can't feel my fingers, but yeah, it's wonderful. Right, so I'm back in the dunes now. I walked through these when we came down, and I think I'm just going to try and get some of the grasses silhouetted in the sky maybe, and I might try and be a little bit creative and try and get some, yeah, it's grasses silhouetted in the sky, and maybe just use a little bit of depth of field, so shoot at f2.5. It's just so nice here. So it'll take the ZF, it has 8 shots of stabilization, which means that you can hand hold a shot apparently up to about half a second. So let's have a go, shall we? We'll put it at ISO 100 a second, and I'm going to have to go up to, I'm going to have to go down to low ISO. Right, so I've got f22, half a second, focus on the castle. Doesn't seem like it's going to be able to get that sharp. That'll be interesting. Let me have a look at that. I'll tell you what, I think you might be sharp.
Right, so I printed some photos out here in front of me. I'm going to go through those in a minute. It was pretty spectacular doing a sunset and then a sunrise at Bamborough. I just didn't have enough time to stay up there, and I only had the camera for a little bit, so I've not got the camera now. Nikon came, lent me the camera for a day, and then took it away, unfortunately. I'm going to go onto the camera in a second. Also, puffins coming soon, so I go out on a boat. That's going to come after this section. Before I do that, I just want to say thanks to this week's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. I talk about this so much, about getting a website, and I probably sound like a stuck record. I know Squarespace sponsor me a lot, and that's why I talk about it a lot, but it really, really is important to have a great platform to showcase your work as a photographer, and there's no better place to do that than Squarespace. I've done it for years and years. The reason that I'm so happy with them sponsoring me is I actually love their solution. There's just no technical skills. It's really easy to build a website, add images, and if you want to, you can sell your own prints as well. Or you can make a book and sell that. Do whatever you want on it, really. So take a look at Squarespace if you're ready for a domain or to set up your website. And there's a link in the description below, and you get 10% off, or you can use offer code Nigel. Right, let's have a look at these prints. So I have to keep reminding me which one's a Z8 and which one's a Z6. I've talked about this so many times before. I'll link a video here. When you're shooting at 24 megapixels and printing at A2, there is no discernible difference between the prints. But I wanted to check. There might be a difference. These files are really nice at the Z6, as they usually are out of most Z cameras. This is the Z6 on the right. This is the Z8. I moved it slightly, but apart from that, it's fine. It's focus stacked, so it's sharp front to back. And this one's a bit brighter at the moment because the light's there. So if I move this over, you'd see that it would be brighter. Yeah, you can't tell any difference. So the flag there looks the same on both of them. The detail in the rock down here is really good. You could argue maybe there's just you can just pull out a little bit more detail just in this area here compared to this. But to be honest, what I find is that just like technique or the way I've stacked it or the way I've edited it slightly different could have a bigger impact than just megapixels. So A2 doesn't make a difference. If I blew it up larger, then you would see a difference, but you can counteract that by just doing a super resolution on the Z6. So if you are thinking about getting the Z6 and you're worried about resolution, unless you're going to crop in loads or you really have to provide a client a 48 megapixel file, then really don't worry about it. So what did I think of the Z6? Well, you're going to see what I think about it from a wildlife perspective, but I'll just give you a heads up. It's brilliant. I mean, compared to the Z6II, the Z7II, it is literally leaps above in terms of focus. And I found it the same as the Z8, but you probably don't want to take my word for it. I'm sure there'll be other wildlife photographers that are talking more about the focus than I am, and are much better at wildlife photography than I am. But yeah, I mean, and also I tried some focusing in low light and it did fantastically well. I think if you're looking to get a camera, a new camera, and you want to improve your focus, you do lots of different things, then the Z6III is incredible. The only downside I suspect is going to be the price. I don't know what the price is when I'm making this video. I suspect it's a bit more than what everybody wants it to be, if I'm honest. But that's probably going to be the biggest downside to it. The things that I think are best about it are the flip screen, incredible. The video features, really incredible. For me, that they're just on a par with the Z8. Not quite, but almost. And yeah, just the focus. So that's the Z6. We're going to come on to the puffins in a second. Before I do that, I just want to show you this image here. So this is the image with the youths on. I got rid of the youths using the new tool in the latest version of Lightroom. If you haven't got it, check it out, which is like an AI remove. I just put a circle over this where there was lots of kids just playing around, and it just did such a good job of removing them and replacing the background. And I find usually when they're close to an edge or close to a rock or something, it always struggles, but it did really well. I left this person right in the distance there just to give an idea of scale. I really like this photo. I really like this photo, in fact. I think there's real nice balance to it. I like the tones of the blue and the orange work incredibly well together. I love, though, what I really like about this, and this is why I want to show it, is there's a line that takes your eye all the way through the image, all the way down here, all the way to the castle, and then back through the clouds to this bit, and then around. And this bit sort of draws your eye in as well. So I think this works incredibly well from a compositional point of view. If you're looking, before we go to the puffins, if you're looking to improve your composition, I've got a summer special where I'm offering 50% off all the courses I do and all the ebooks I do. So there'll be a link in the description to take you to a page where you'll get all that information, but it's 50% off and it's just for June. Okay, let's go and have a look at those amazing puffins on this island. Right, so we're going on a boat, hopefully bigger than those because there's going to be a few waves, I think, to the Farne Islands, and I have the Z6III. More about that later. Hopefully I'm going to get some puffins on this trip if we see any puffins, because we've just seen on the board there's no puffins seen, which is not good. But if not, we're going to go down the coastline, get some landscapes later on for sunset, and then probably do sunrise as well. And I'll check this out because I'm quite excited about it. We've arrived, so hopefully there's no arc terns about to attack me. There's a lot of them actually. Right, we're off the boat and we've got 1 hour to try and get a photo of a puffin with the Z6III. So, seems like there's a lot of birds, a lot of Arctic terns, so let's see what we can find. Jesus, that was close. Right, so I'm going to try and get a shot of a puffin coming straight towards me. See how good the autofocus is on this new camera. You're going to remember I'm not a wildlife photographer. Just got to find one that's quick, these puffins as well. I'll tell you what, the screen on this is pretty good though. And it's, to be honest, so far just doing this, it's detecting them super well.
there's a puffin just on the end here of the mount of the building, which is quite cool, with eels in its mouth. So I've just got auto ISO, 2000th of a second, and my lowest aperture, or widest aperture. I'm just going to sort of leave my tripod down and approach slowly. It's quite cool. I like the flowers underneath it on the wall. It's just a bit different. Actually, it's just nesting material. This is definitely the best place I've ever been to photograph puffins. Get really close to them here. They just seem really tame. Although, having said that, they've all flown away, but I can get really close to them by the grass here. So I'm just going to try and approach really slowly and see if I can get a close-up of them. And I might just have to sort of stay in place. I want to try and get Bamber Castle in the background. So I'm going to go just round here, go down low, and see if I can just get something down here. Yeah. So I was just shooting just to try and get some of the birds as they fly into the wind over here, because they sort of ride the wind a little bit, but then a bird just landed on the wall here and there's some really dark clouds there, so it looks so good. So the light at the moment is really nice, so I'm just trying to make the most out of that. Whoa, fall down a hole. Created by puffins probably, but they're really, the light over there is just so nice at the moment. I am just trying to get a head-on of the shot of the puffin. Here's one now. I'll just take a few photos and then I'll try and show you. All right, I'm going to video it so you can see what I'm trying to get. It's quite hard. You're just going to find one that's hopefully going to fly straight towards you rather than land in the burrow. They all stop now, typically. Right, here we go. There's one coming now. No, it's gone too high. Oh wow, we're really close. Here we go, this one.
It was amazing to photograph these puffins. That's it for this week. Before I go, I'm going to give away this print. So all you need to do is make a comment below of an idea for a future video, and the most liked, unique comment will win a print. And I've been working really hard on my camper van, so keep a lookout for those videos this week.